There are some powerful and transformative energies coming your way in December of 2021, and that is all courtesy of the new moon solar eclipse that is happening in the sign of Sagittarius. Now, in this video, I'm going to share with you the 3 things that you need to know about this astrological event so that you can move and flow with the energies that will be present for your highest and greatest good. And then stay tuned until the end of the video because I'm going to be doing a pick a card reading for specific guidance just for you. Aloha, beautiful souls. My name is Brian of tranSOULution, and I'm here to help you along your spiritual journey of self-discovery and deep transformation. So first things first, y'all, let's talk a little bit of basic astrology, a little astrology 101 about this particular solar eclipse. So it's happening in the sign of Sagittarius, 12 degrees of Sagittarius to be exact for my astrology buffs out there. And it is going to go exact at 2:34 a.m. for those who are on the East Coast, New York time. And then for those who are on the West Coast, like LA time, it's going to actually be happening at 11:34 p.m. on December 3rd. So that's when it's going to go exact. Now, during eclipses, you may notice that you're feeling a little bit more emotion, that your emotions are kind of heightened, right? And you can think of it this way. In particular, when we're thinking of solar eclipses, the moon is coming in front of the sun. So the moon is like our emotional body and the sun is like our ego. And so the moon is shifting kind of in the way of the sun so that the emotional part of ourselves, the emotional body, is highlighted during this time frame. Now, the eclipse season is also about a lot of shifts and changes, like pretty significant ones. And you can take a look right now on something that's happening in one area of your life that is really affecting you on an emotional level. So whether that be your career and how things are going at your job or your business, if you're an entrepreneur, you can think about, oh, is something happening within my interpersonal relationships, like with my spouse or my partner, with my friends, with my family members? Is there some type of emotional energy there? Or maybe it's something about, just your personal development, spiritual growth, self-improvement. And another way that you can take a look to see what specific area of your life this solar eclipse is going to impact for you is to go to your birth chart, if you have that on hand, and locate where 12 degrees of Sagittarius is in your chart, and then you can find the corresponding house. Another thing to note is that with solar eclipses, a lot of the energy that is moving is external energy. So outside circumstances, right, that involve other people, other places, other things. And with lunar eclipses, the energy is a little bit more internal, right? So something within you, your philosophy, the way you view things, the way you emotionally respond to things, those are the things that will be shifting during those lunar eclipses. Now, regardless of whether it's a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse, these time periods are great for change, transformation, and growth. And now, before we go any further, it's just important to note that what astrology does is forecast the energies that are going to be present, and nothing is set in stone. The beauty of having this human experience is that we live in a dimension of free will and choice. So what astrology can help us do is just help us be aware of the energies that will be present so that we know how we can flow and be in harmony with those energies and what pathways we can take that have the least amount of resistance. So the first thing that you need to know about is, what is Sagittarius energy like? So I'm sure you can take a moment now to think of someone that you know in your life who is a Sagittarius, or maybe you're a Sagittarius yourself. Now, Sagittarians, they're known to be very optimistic, cheerful, fun-loving. I really love partying with my Sagittarius friends because they really know how to amp up the mood and make things very entertaining from my experience. Sagittarians also love to seek and gather information. So in that way, it's kind of similar to its polarity of Gemini. But what makes the two of them a bit different is that Sagittarius likes to gather this information to help it formulate this world view, right? It gathers this information and it starts to create this framework of how the world operates, its place in the world, how other people factor into the reality that they see. And Sagittarians, they're known to philosophize, if that's a word. They really are big fans of philosophy, right? Like they ponder some of those deeper meanings of like, why do we exist? Why are things the way they are? And they come to these conclusions based on what they're seeing, they're hearing, they're reading, so all that information that they're gathering about the world. Speaking of the world, Sagittarius is also known to be involved with international travel, worldwide affairs. And then lastly, Sagittarius also governs spirituality and religion. They're known to be very deep, deep thinkers and deep feelers as well because of that. Now, the second thing that you need to take a look at for this upcoming solar eclipse is actually prior solar eclipses that occurred at around the same degree point as this one. So the most recent solar eclipse that occurred was in December of 2002. So take a moment to just kind of think about what was going on in your life around that time frame of December 2002. That will give you a hint or some kind of clue as to what aspects and what parts of your life are going to be impacted by this solar eclipse. Similarly, a couple of other time frames for you to take a look at are June 5th of 2020 and June 4th of 2012. Now, during those times, there was an eclipse in Sagittarius, but those were lunar eclipses. So again, lunar eclipses are focusing more on that internal work, and the solar eclipses are focusing a lot on external circumstances that have an impact on you and the way you live your life. Now, one thing to note is that with this eclipse, we are wrapping up the themes of the Sagittarius and Gemini polarity. And next year, we'll be moving into the Taurus Scorpio polarity. And lastly, the third thing we're going to be talking about is the energy specific to this new moon solar eclipse in Sagittarius that's occurring for most of the world on December 4th, 2021. So this is a new moon, as I'm sure many of you know, and new moons are all about new beginnings, new chapters in life, fresh starts. Now, this being a solar eclipse, what that really means is that energetically, it's a lot stronger of an impact when it comes to these new beginnings and fresh starts. Some people even think of like solar eclipses as new moons on steroids, if that helps. And with eclipse energy, think about things being phased out of your life and then new things being phased in. So one question that you can reflect on as you're tapping into your soul's journey and the energy of this new moon solar eclipse is, what have you learned in the past like year and a half or so? And out of those things that you learned, what belief systems, what truths, what information and knowledge, which will impact the types of actions you take and the types of decisions you make, what are those things that you're going to take forward with you? Now, as far as astrology goes with this particular solar eclipse, it is important to note that Mercury will be conjuncting the moon and the sun at this time frame. So Mercury is going to bring a lot of communication. Mercury loves to talk and share information with other people. And so a lot of information will be coming your way. A lot of communications will be coming your way, whether that be like written communications like text or some kind of phone call, maybe even an email. And also, Mercury is very quick. It likes fast movement. And so think of like Mercury, who was the messenger of the gods, right? And so information will be coming in quickly, communications will be coming in very quickly. Whatever this shift is, this new start, a lot of fast movement here. Now, some energies that are also supporting this solar eclipse is Saturn. So Saturn is sextiling the new moon energies that are coming up, and Saturn really is all about order. Saturn is about structure and stability, having systems in place. And so what kind of energy this is going to bring for all of us is that whatever you've been working with, the energies and themes you've been working with during this Sagittarius Gemini polarity of the past, again, like year and a half, is it's going to make things a lot clearer to you now. And so if you were in that space like, I don't know what's going on, I don't know what to make sense of all of this, rest assured, you will be receiving that clarity. At this point in time, the South Node is in Sagittarius. And what that means is a lot of those Sagittarian ideas and themes are going under like some kind of renovation, and things are needing to be released and moved out. So you can kind of think back to the Sagittarius lunar eclipse that happened in June of 2020. And there is some finalization of what needed to be released around that time that will be occurring this December of 2021. And what's so beautiful about that is that it's going to make space and clear the way for this new energy that's coming in. So they're kind of doing a little swappy swap. So I feel like there's a lot of optimistic, beautiful, and hopeful energy coming in with this new moon solar eclipse in Sagittarius. So one way to think of it is to think of the symbol for Sagittarius. It is an arrow. And so just like an arrow, make sure that your aim and you have a lot of clarity on your goals and dreams, and then just let that arrow fly. And with that release of the arrow forward, it brings this energy of hope and optimism that you will hit and land exactly where that arrow needs to go. Now, no matter what theme and what area of life the solar eclipse will be working with you this time around, one thing that I definitely want to encourage all of you to remember is to just trust in the process and have faith that everything that happens is for your highest and greatest good. And now on to your pick a card bonus reading, especially for each of you to give you guidance as to what to expect and how to navigate the energies of this new moon solar eclipse in Sagittarius. So since it's happening on December 4th, why don't you pick a number between 1 and 4, and that will be your message. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So for those of you that picked number 1, here is your image. And what the message here is a time to give rather than take. And so what this is telling me is that one thing that you'll need to work on and understand is the flow of energy dynamics. So there might be an imbalance that you had previously between being an overgiver or an over receiver and taking too much. And you want the scales to be pretty balanced in this process so that you don't get burnt out or you don't feel drained, and that you don't feel kind of on the opposite end, you don't feel very sluggish and slow moving. So look at some of the relationships in your life and see, do like sort of a systems check, right? Like, is there balance between the give and take between you and this other person? And also, it's important to look at where your money moves, okay? That's the other message I'm getting, is where money is moving for you. Because again, in 2022, we are going into that Taurus-Scorpio polarity, which is all about wealth and finances as one part of it anyway. And so it's important for you to understand, like, how do you spend your money and what sources of income you have. So understanding that dynamic. So those of you who chose number 1, that is your message and tip for this solar eclipse. And now for those of you who chose card number 2, this is your message. You're very close to achieving your goal. And this is what the image looks like. And so the message and the guidance that I'm getting for you who chose card number 2 is that just like Sagittarius, don't lose hope. Something is coming in, again, with the help of Mercury, probably pretty quickly, some kind of communication, whether it's like a spiritual download, email, conversation with a friend, a text message, whatever mode of communication it is, something is going to come in that is going to help you get that clarity and get that perspective that you need so you know exactly what next step you need to take. And I also feel that you're going to get a lot of optimism and excitement from this piece of information that's coming in. So don't give up because you're very, very close to achieving this goal. This is the final stretch, y'all. You got this. And that is your special message for this solar eclipse. And for those of you that chose card number 3, this is your message. Your commitment is being tested. And there is your picture. Okay, guys. So what I'm sensing here is that over the course of recent events, there has been really a testing of your faith and your sense of hopefulness, right? That's kind of being challenged because perhaps you've been experiencing a bit of setbacks, right? Some bumps in the road along your journey over the past year. And maybe you even feel like you're not making a lot of headway or a lot of forward movement. And at this juncture, it's good to take a step back and do some type of evaluation here. And what I'm getting is that you need to really understand what's motivating you. And the reason I bring that up is because Sagittarius is ruled by the planet Gemini. And Gemini is this big old planet in our solar system. And it's also known as like, the royal planet. It's like the king planet because Jupiter is basically Zeus, king of the gods, right? And so what's great about this energy is that it's very abundant, it's very robust, it's very fun, it's very giving, right? It's a beautiful, beautiful, fun energy to work with. But on the flip side, like the other side of the coin of that energy is that sometimes it can get a bit frivolous. So think of kings and all the wealth that they have, right? So that wealth can be used for the service of others and to make sure that your basic needs are met. But though that wealth can also be kind of misused or abused. You know, being a king, being a queen, being of royalty carries with it a lot of responsibility. A lot of people are looking to you, right? For guidance, support, security, stability, whatever it is. And sometimes in this process of having people look at you and all eyes being on you, it can kind of like inflate the ego. Does that make sense? It kind of can distort your sense of self and your sense of self-importance. So what does that all mean? So when it says your commitment is being tested, what the universe may be asking you to do is take a step back and go within to ask yourself, why the heck are you doing this anyway? What is motivating you? What are you hoping to achieve and accomplish? Is it something that's a bit more self-serving? Or is it something that, contributes to the whole? And that, I think, will give you some insight as to how to navigate and shift and change course or maybe put your energies into certain other things in your life that may pan out a little bit better. So that is the message for you that chose card number 3 for this new moon solar eclipse. And last but not least, my beautiful number 4s. This is your message. Look at the bigger picture. And what it says down here is actually full moon in Sagittarius. Okay, so what I'm getting here is that perhaps at this time you've been a little bit too focused on the details, right? Maybe you kind of have these blinders on and you're not getting a lot of clarity or insight because of this narrow view. And so it's important for you to see the bigger picture. So just like Sagittarius, Sagittarius thinks of like global themes, world issues, right? International affairs. It sees the whole planet versus like the one house, right? What is that saying? Forest for the trees kind of energy, right? And so maybe you've been a little bit too bogged down in the details, and that might even be stressing you out. And so, what this card is reminding you, and this energy from this new moon solar eclipse, is to take a step back and see the bigger picture, see the grand design, right? And use that to help guide you moving forward and help you make the decisions that are most aligned with this big time goal or this big vision that you have for yourself, okay? And the other thing that I'm kind of getting is there's been something that has been very challenging and difficult in your life right now, card number 4. And there's this sense of sadness, this sense of grief and loss over this because you had some kind of attachment to it. And, you know, because we're in this energy of releasing and letting new things into our life, that is what needs to be done here. And so, card number 4, that is your message for this solar eclipse in Sagittarius. Now, if you found something helpful within this video today, make sure to hit that like button at the bottom, and I'd love to see in the comments down below which card that you chose for your specific guidance and message, and also what you've been noticing about how this new moon solar eclipse in Sagittarius has been affecting you. And if you want to receive more knowledge and guidance for your spiritual journey of deep transformation and growth, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you will be notified every time a new video drops on this channel. Until next time, mahalos. Catch y'all later.